Greetings, fellow investigators, and welcome back to our video podcast, Into the Darkness, where my friends and I play the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. I'm your host, Tom Rayleigh. The campaign is Spawn of Azathoth. It was written by Keith Herber, and our game master is John Hook. This is episode 2. Our recap will be given by Stuart Lively as his character Cornelius Cuthbert. So without any further delay, let's continue our journey into the darkness. Stuart?
The Tuesday Night Academy, an intriguing club of which I've become a member just a year ago. Philip Baxter created this club several years before that. It's a group of like-minded individuals who are interested in science and those curious mysteries that are currently yet to be explained by it. My acquaintance from his days at Brown University, Frederick Long, was sponsored and joined this club as well. Recently, just days ago, out of the blue, Philip Baxter got sick and died just a day later. After all being notified of our acquaintance's recent untimely death, we all gathered to attend his burial. The highly successful investment banker, Myron Dexter, who had a recent horrible dream of Philip's demise, the astute professor, Dr. Frederick Long, accomplished astrophysicist, back from his tenured position at Miskatonic University, the fascinating Dr. Zeno Saladin, who some say can read fortunes and peer into the future, my good friend Zebedee Cordova, well-known professor of history at Brown University, and myself, Cornelius Cuthbert, senior librarian at the very same Brown University here in Providence. We all gather for Philip's burial services. Others attended as well. Silas Patterson, Tuesday Night Academy member. Professor Francis Wilson, also a Tuesday Night Academy member. Harold Engelhard, Brown University administrator. Father Julian Baxter, older brother of Philip. Angela Vincenzo, nanny for Philip's children and good friend of Philip. And Emmett Baxter, Philip's oldest son. Angela invited us over to Philip's manor afterwards for coffee and cake. Upon arriving, Dr. Long and I find Silas there already sneaking about by himself in Philip's old study. Between Zeno chatting with Father Julian Baxter and Myron speaking with Dr. Douglas Walters, family physician, it was discovered that Philip was plagued by restless dreams, and all seemed to be shocked by his untimely death. Myron gathered a contact at a news clipping service as well. Emmett comes in last and ushers us all out. 2 days later, the reading of the will takes place. The 4 of my companions are invited to attend, as well as Judge Bardick, who's reading the will, Silas Patterson, Father Julian Baxter, his servant Matthew, Angela Vincenzo, Dr. Douglas Walters, and Emmett Baxter. We are all shocked to hear in the will Philip made last-minute changes to, read as follows. Angela is left the manor and a small fund to care for the property. Half of the remaining funds to his children, Colin, Cynthia, and Emmett. The other half is to the Tuesday Night Academy. 2 packets were also distributed as part of the will. One sent to Professor Francis Wilson, who earlier left the country, and one to Myron Dexter and Associates, which contained 3 items, a note, a map, and a book. Why did Philip have the 5 of us mentioned in particular for such an odd assembly of items in this package? What readily caused Philip's untimely death? What did my poor old friend get himself into?
Fantastic questions, indeed. So we'll bring the camera in as the 5 of you have just been reviewing the contents of this packet. You are currently in the office of Judge Braddock. He's given you the room to have momentarily while you review this. What do you have to say?
So I think that it is significant that we find dream imagery here. I'm not completely unfamiliar with the lore of dreams, you know. I'm curious why the priest thinks that he can interpret dreams. Not something I'd expect from a Roman Catholic.
Well, isn't there plenty of dream interpretation in the Bible?
In the Old Testament, yes, but not in the New Testament. The sort of astrological aspects of the Bible were very Old Testament, and although there's a great deal of knowledge to be learned there, I think that time is somewhat past. He's not a Jew, so I don't know why he would be interpreting dreams.
Oh, maybe you should go ask him. What I am curious about, though, is why the five of us? Why is this what he gives us?
Yeah, the only one he had explanation for was me, that I appeared in one of the dreams. If there were some obvious bond between us, that might settle it. But as there is not, all I could say is it seems evident to me that both the Baxter brothers have been, a little unhinged of late.
Perhaps.
And I want to know if Father Julian was encouraging this dream experimentation, if he knows what drug it is that Philip was taking to cause him to have more unusual dreams.
Well, do any of you have any medical knowledge? What kind of drug would you use to induce dreaming?
I have no idea, but wasn't their family doctor here at the will reading? Walters, is that his name? Maybe he would know.
Perhaps we can catch him before they all leave.
He might be out there talking with Braddock still. Yeah. Thing is, I asked him already about Baxter's health, and I don't think he would have condoned any drug use. And I think if he'd known about any when cornered after Philip behaves erratically and then dies abruptly, I think he'd be the first to mention something.
It's most likely some exotic Tibetan herb that he was taking to allow him to lucidly dream.
Or something, some catnip sold to him by a quack in a turban.
This might be of the utmost importance to find out what drug this was, if it might have had some play in his death. If it's some exotic, unregulated, unknown chemical or substance, might have he overdosed? Might have this looked like a heart attack when it was really too much of this sleeping drug?
What did the coroner say was the cause of death? Heart attack or stroke or...
The doctor said heart attack, yeah. I don't think that they bothered to do an autopsy, though.
It's not always done.
This was very quick, though. He died 2 days, five days ago. And then he was buried 2 days later. Was there really time for anything? Any conclusive testing?
Well, it'll be interesting to see. I'm not sure of Catholic practice, but like I said before, they might not have embalmed him, in which case they would have had to get him in the ground within 3 days or so.
Yeah.
I would think that young Master Emmett, being as angry as he is about the outcome of the will, if anyone's going to press for an exhumation, it would be him. Except he's as thick as can be with the housekeeper, and frankly, she's, I don't know, she's a little too sweet for my taste.
If we're investigating for no apparent reason a possible murder, wouldn't the maid be the most likely person? She stood the most to inherit.
Yeah, it's very true.
Did
So
she know? Did she
so
know
we need
that she was going to inherit all of that?
we
Oh,
should
it's,
find out who administered the drug. Was this self-administered?
It felt like, just the way he wrote, that it might have been self-administered.
and we don't know what the last minute changes to his will were. What exactly he added to it.
And the door opens as you hear it knocking, and Judge Braddock steps in and says, "Gentlemen, if you've concluded, I would like to have my office back now."
Of course. Myra, do you think that we should show the final dream to the priest?
Well, I'll certainly be discussing Father Julian's dream research with him. It might depend on what he has to say about what he and Patrick were up to, or Philip were up to.
I'd like to be there when you do that. Thank you, Judge.
Judge Braddock, if I recall, the only change to the will was this packet for us, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. The bequest to the Tuesday night group predated it substantially. Is that?
That is safe to say, yes.
All right. Well, thank you, Judge Braddock, for your time. If you're curious about the contents of this packet and you wish to discuss them with us further, I think that's a possibility. We're honestly a little bit flummoxed about what Professor Baxter had in mind. But I'm
Yes,
sure
well, if you feel like you need me to consult, then by all means, see my secretary and make an appointment.
I appreciate it. Thanks, and have a good day.
Good day to you all.
Gentlemen, we can continue this conversation in a private office at my bank. If that's suitable to you.
That's fine with me.
I try to rush out to the street to see where Silas is going. I want to see if he's having any side conversations with anybody outside.
Great. Okay, so Cornelius takes off and heads out to get to the street. And when you get out there, give me a spot hidden.
Ooh, 13. That's no, it's a success to the level of spot hidden 80. Oh yeah, so that's an extreme.
Great. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, you look down the street. Silas, you guys talked for a while, and possibly Silas hung around, maybe spoke to a few people, but he did seem to leave a little bit early. You lucked out, and you did catch a glimpse of him further down the street, and you can see that he's like checking both ways as he jogs across the street and is heading further down the avenue. He's on foot.
Okay, so nothing out of the ordinary. Okay, oh, that's all right. I will.
He does seem to be kind of in a purposeful. He's on the move somewhere.
Okay, all right. So as our group comes out, I'll notify them immediately, as long as they don't dawdle too long in there.
Did he park on another street or something?
If he did park on another street, it's quite a ways away. That doesn't seem like he would park so far away and hike in, unless he was trying to hide something.
Well, I would get the impression he's had a rather hard week, or longer than that. I mean, he's looking for other positions, was he not? And now he's been yelled at by Emmett and.
No.
Did you happen to see the doctor lingering around as well?
I did I?
I'll let someone else. Anybody else who wants to look to see if the doctor is
Well,
checked.
I had mentioned it, so when I come out, I'm immediately looking for the doctor.
Okay, good. Yeah, so Dr. Zeno, as you come out, you do see the doctor, the physician, Walters, Dr. Walters. You see Dr. Walters, and he is with Mrs. Vincino, Angela, the housekeeper, and he is. Dr. Walters has a car, and he's helping Angela into his car. Emmett is there as well, and he just kind of, nods at Walters, says, waves and says goodbye to Angela, and he heads off to go to a different car.
Okay. Can I intercept them while they're all there?
Sure.
All right. I'm going to try to intercept them. Dr. Walters, Angela. A quick question for you. Were you aware of Philip taking any kind of a sleep aid or drug at night?
And Emmett seems perplexed, but Angela looks at you and says, yes, he did have trouble sleeping. I believe Julius, his brother, was assisting him with this.
He'd given him some sort of a concoction to help him sleep. I see.
I think so. I'm not exactly sure what it was, but I'm almost positive that it was Julian who was helping him with his sleep.
Was there a label on the bottle that you recall? Not necessarily what was on it, but was there a label?
Not that I recall, no. I remember it's a small brown bottle, much like you would get at the pharmacy, but I don't know. I don't recall seeing a label.
All right. Thank you very much. Once again, I'm very sorry for the loss of our friend, and have a good evening.
Thank you.
So I go back to the others. Let's see. So the priest is giving him the drug, and the drug is some concoction that the priest is creating. It's not a drug you'd get over the counter. No label on the bottle. Small brown bottle, perhaps reused from something else, or you can actually purchase such bottles. So the priest is an interesting thing. Yes, Myron, I would very much like to be there when you speak.
All right, we'll see how the old fellow feels about it. If, again, we can even make an arrangement while he's still above the sod. All right, let's go. It's only a few blocks to the bank. I'll arrange for a private room for us.
So you guys are going to drive together to the bank, or caravan if it's more than one car?
Yeah.
I assume that the law office and the bank, given the size of downtown Providence, are only a few blocks away.
Yeah, only a few blocks.
And let's see, we took the bank, we were all in the bank car on the way here. So I assume he went about other duties and we can just walk a few blocks, because I didn't know we were going to be caravanning. I didn't know we'd be together after the reading of the will.
So you guys walk down to the bank?
Yes.
Okay. So since Cornelius had an extreme success with his spot hidden earlier, I will give this to him as an additional reward for that extreme. As you guys are heading to the bank, Cornelius, your mind goes back to Silas, and relatively speaking, Providence is not a very large town. And so as you're approaching the bank, across the street and further down, but not too much further down, happens to actually, by coincidence, be the funeral home that was utilized for Baxter's funeral. Okay, and Cornelius, you catch sight of Silas entering the funeral parlor.
Interesting.
And he's off the street now. He's in the building.
Yeah. Oh, I'm mentioning this to our crew, the Myron and Associates. Was that an open? It wasn't an open casket, was it? Or was it?
It was not.
It was not. Okay. Ooh, light bulbs. This is suspicious. Can we go down there and just? This does not. I don't know. I'm sorry.
Cornelius, I'll come with you. We can go. We can go talk to him. If anything, I mean, he's. I don't know. I'm very intrigued by Silas at this point.
Yeah, especially finding him sneaking around by himself in Philip's study, and they weren't that close. So he just seemed like he was up to something. I would like to find out what that something is.
All right, you can.
I think I'll tag along. I'll tag along.
Very well. It's going to take me a minute to explain to staff at the bank that Zeno isn't holding me at gunpoint.
I beg your pardon. Tell them that I'm a rich sheik from across the. I'm here to make an investment.
Sheik of Araby. Yeah. This is going to be an interesting experience. So yes, you can just give your names when you get to the bank, and you'll be shown to an office.
Thank you.
Good luck with that. That Silas guy did give me. I didn't like the looks of him. Shifty, little narrow eyes.
Okay, so is the group splitting? So is Dr. Zeno and Myron heading for the bank, and Cornelius, Zebedee, and Long, are they heading for the funeral home? Is that what I heard?
Right.
Awesome. So let's bring the camera and follow the trio of men heading for the funeral parlor.
Gentlemen, call me paranoid, but I would kind of like to hear what Silas is speaking of. So if we could go in not like loud and right down the middle, unless you think that might be better.
Well, we'll enter, but just don't make ourselves known. We'll try to listen.
Yes.
Be cautious.
Okay, so going through the front door.
It's yeah, I suppose.
Okay. All right. Make a stealth roll.
Okay. Haha.
Ooh, an 09. That is a hard success.
A standard success.
That is a 97.
Oh.
That is a fail.
Ninja quiet crash.
I probably should have explained it better. So if you're going in as a group, I would have only just wanted one roll. Since there was 2 out of 3 that were successful, I'm going to say as a group, you guys were successful. So as you're coming in through the door, you are careful to silence the dingling bell that's struck by the door as it opens. So you just kind of basically have to stick a finger into it and stops the clapper. And so you're able to get into the front parlor of the funeral home. And it's as many funeral homes, it's a very somber and a very quiet building. And you can see in this front parlor, there's some as tasteful as can be, displays of caskets, and there's pamphlets and different booklets that describe the variety of headstones that they offer and other services. And you can see that there's a hallway that goes towards the rear of the building.
Are there any other doors to this immediate area, or is it the only exit is that corridor?
Right now, the only exit is that corridor. But you can see, as you just kind of look down, that there are doors flanking it on either side. And then at the end, it seems like it might open up into another larger area, probably similar in design and size as this front area.
I will take cautious steps about a third of the way down the hallway and listen. I'm listening for voices.
Okay, so that sounds very stealthy to me. Does anybody want to follow Cornelius?
Well, my intention coming in here was just to just stay here in the lobby and see
Okay.
if I can hear anything from here.
And
kinda
Zebedee?
I will follow my good buddy Cornelius.
Okay. So Cornelius, you will be the stealthy roller. But let me ask Zebedee. Zebedee, do you have any beyond base? Do you have any skill points in stealth?
No.
Okay. Cornelius, do you have any points in stealth beyond base?
Yes,
Okay.
I'm 60.
All right, you're 60. Okay, that sounds really good. So, due to basically having to pull an amateur along with you, you're going to have to kind of spend some of your time telling him how to be quiet and whatnot as you're going through this. So, you're going to have to make this stealth roll with a penalty die.
Oh no! Okay, all right.
He's bringing you down, my buddy.
Yeah, let's try it. Okay, there is a tremendous failure for kickoff.
Well, then that's probably all you need then.
Yeah, we'll just go. Let's see. That was a 70 and a 60. Hey, so fail in this.
All right, so we will have a failure. So as you guys are trying to head down this hallway, Zebedee sneezes. And it's like a lightning bolt coming through you. It was pretty loud. Make a listen roll.
Okay, listen. Oh, phooey. No, I missed it just by three.
I couldn't hear anything either.
Okay.
The sneeze is so loud, the ears are ringing.
And between the two of you, who has the lower luck?
Okay.
I have 60 luck.
60 versus who?
68.
All right, so Zebedee, make a luck roll for me, please.
59.
All right. So you guys have the sneeze, you pause, you listen as hard as you can. You don't hear anything, but after several heartbeats, nothing seems to be happening. There's nobody like coming out. So there's in this corridor that you're in, there are 4 doors, 2 on either side, and then up ahead you can see it does open up into a slightly larger room, similar in design as to the parlor that you were in when you first came in. But while you hear nothing from the 4 doors and you don't hear anything from the secondary back area, neither has anyone come out into the hallway to investigate any other noises.
Now, we never heard voices, or we did hear voices?
You have not heard voices yet because
Okay.
you failed your listen roll, right?
Okay, no, I wonder if they're being... Okay, well, this is very odd. We just saw Silas in here, and now it's dead silence. Something doesn't seem right. I look back to Dr. Frederick Long. Let's see. Nothing. No one up there.
Yeah. Long hasn't heard anything either.
Well, I'm gonna just go wander back into the into that larger space.
So you'll head down the
Because, I
hallway.
mean, this is a business.
It is a business.
I
Yeah,
mean, I'm like they would expect people to come in here, and we have
of course. So
I'm worried about
Cornelius,
Silas, so I'm going to
yep.
just gonna.
So Cornelius and Zebedee are in the hallway. So you're going to join them and pass them and go into that back area. Okay. So Dr. Long is kind of walking past you. The carpeted floors are muffling his shoe falls, so it's not too bad.
Okay. Well, I'll just open the door closest to us then.
Okay.
Quietly, if I can, quietly, not abruptly.
Sure. You open up the door that's closest to you, and it's a very small little room. It looks almost like it's a consultation room, maybe for like private consultation to discuss funeral arrangements. You would assume, being that this is a funeral home.
Makes sense. No other exit.
No, correct. It's just a very tiny room.
Professor?
Yes. I'll search for room. There might be something.
Okay, you find a secret door. No. No, it's a small table. It's a couple of chairs. It's probably 4 chairs, small table. It's a consultation room. Professor Long, as you head further down into that larger area in the back, you can see that this area, it's set up. There's like a water fountain. You can see another door that has like a little restroom sign on it. And then at the back of the room, you see another door that has a placard on it that says private.
Okay, and everything's still quiet. Don't see anybody. Don't hear anybody.
You can make a listen roll. You may attempt.
Ooh, 22 is a regular success.
You hear muffled but unclear sounds. They do sound like voices, but you just can't tell what they're saying, emanating from behind the private door.
I'm going to do something that's considered very rude in polite society, but I'm going to get closer. Trying to just hear if it's Silas.
Okay. So are you opening the door or just coming up to the door?
I'll come up to the door first, and if that's not any better, then I'll knock. If I can't hear them through the door, then I'll...
Okay. Yeah. The sound of the voices, again, while you can tell there are voices, they're too muffled to know what they're saying. So it sounds like your intention is not to stay stealthy outside that door, but you actually want to give a light rapping on it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just tap just a little bit.
Before he knocks on the door, Cornelius and Zebedee, what do you guys want to do?
I'll poke my head in the other door in the hallway and then head on down. Again, being quiet, not suspiciously quiet, just, looking like, oh, hey, by the way, if someone catches me, but I'll still be quiet about it.
Yeah. So
close to Cornelius.
Okay. So one of the other doors, so there's 4 doors, 2 on either side of this hallway. And so the first 2 doors, first one on the left and the first one on the right, you look in those and they are consultation rooms. You check one of the other 2 doors and it's like a supply closet with janitorial items. Yeah. And then the other one is a supply closet with like office supply items. Those are much smaller than the consultation rooms. And so that's all 4 of those doors. And then there's this like a family area towards the back there with the water fountain and the restrooms and stuff. There's a couple of couches and just, you're able to sit, and there's probably also like a phonograph with some really boring records, right? For just some like really somber music, right? And then there's that private door. And as you guys come into that back area, Dr. Long, who had been standing next to it, has knuckle raised and is ready to rap. All right. So Dr. Long knocks on the door, and Dr. Long, you can hear that the voices stop immediately. And in fact, you think you may have heard someone going, shh. And then a voice kind of louder says, be right there. Hold on, please. And there's approaching. Someone is approaching.
I'll take a step back and just...
Okay.
Do I hear any of that, or did I just hear the knock?
Cornelius and Zebedee, you guys had just checked all 4 doors and had just come into that like family area in the back when Long knocked on the door, and now the door opens. This gentleman steps out from the back room, and he says, yes, how may I help you?
I'm so sorry to bother you. I'm a friend of the late Philip Baxter, who I believe his funeral was handled through here.
He says, yes.
And my associates and myself, we've been charged by a couple things in his will, and we have we're just curious about a couple of things. Also, another attendant at the funeral stopped in here, and we were hoping, we were just wondering if he was kind of looking at the same things that we were curious about. Silas is his name.
Silas Patterson?
Yes. I thought I saw him step in here just moments before we did.
So the gentleman who you just met, he stammers a little bit, but before he can say anything else, the door opens up behind him, and coming out from that door that was labeled private is Silas Patterson.
Silas, I'm so sorry to intrude. We just
And before we go any further, all 3 of you can make a psychology roll.
93. No.
Yeah, a 39's not going to cut it.
A regular success.
A regular success for Zebedee. So Zebedee, so the gentleman who came out first, the one with the very large, like mutton chops, kind of, I'm not sure what the name of it is when your mustache becomes the mutton chops. There's something a little, something strikes you odd about him. You can't quite put your finger on it, but there seems to be something that is it's actually a little off-putting when you meet him. But again, you're not able to exactly put your finger on that, and it's just a passing feeling. But just as you kind of were having that internal evaluation of this person that you've just met, that's when the door opened up, and then Silas comes out from behind, and of course he knows Cornelius, he knows Dr. Long, and I think he also met Dr. Zebedee at the house, right? Didn't you go into the back room?
Yeah, and I work at Brown's, so.
Oh, that's right. Okay, so Silas comes out, and he looks at the 3 of you and goes, "Gentlemen," and then he kind of looks at the 3 of you and says, "Were you following me?"
No, we were going over to the bank. We saw you enter, and we have some. We were curious about Philip Baxter, and I would assume that's why you're here.
The other gentleman, the strange gentleman, looks at Silas. All three of you may again make a psychology roll.
Getting better, but 84 now.
Yeah. 38 was a little better than my last roll. Still a failure.
Yeah, just a regular. I got a regular.
Yeah. Silas is real uncomfortable with you guys asking him or talking about Baxter. So he's like, I don't know what you guys want from me.
When was the last time? Just more of a personal query. When was the last time you saw him, Silas?
Well, probably just a few days before he died.
Do you know anything about his passing? Anything at all?
I don't know anything. What are you implying?
I'm not implying anything. It's just you seem a bit tense right now. As soon as we mentioned his name, sir.
Listen, my friend died. I think I knew him better than you. My friend died, and it's it's very upsetting. Very upsetting indeed.
Well, we just maybe you could help us fill us in just a little bit. I'm gonna talk to the directing this towards the person, not Silas, but the other man.
Uh-huh. And in fact, when you kind of indicate at him, he looks at you, he goes, Beswick, Alvin Beswick.
Beswick, Dr. Frederick Long. Sorry, when I came down here from Arkham, I was just I was a little curious with the funeral, that there was no viewing, not open casket. I'm just curious if there was a reason for that, or just
I'm afraid I don't know what you mean, and I don't think I care for your line of questioning.
Well, to get to the point,
I think it would be a very good idea for all of you gentlemen to leave.
To get to the point, Alvin, I received an interesting note indicating that they thought that Philip Baxter was not in that coffin that was buried. We found it quite interesting. I did. It's an anonymous note, and it was something worth asking about. Do you know anything of this?
So Alvin looks at Silas. Silas looks at Alvin. And he says, I have no idea what you're talking about. I think it is past time for you, please, to leave.
Definitely. We are talking to the wrong people at this moment.
Thank you, and good day. I said good day.
Turn around.
Back over to the bank.
All right, you three exit the room, and Silas and Alvin stand there and wait and watch you guys leave. Let's move the camera across the street to Myron and Zeno as you guys came into the bank. Zeno's led into the private office with Myron. I think Zeno probably does hear some very muffled chuckles from behind the bank teller counters. And you guys are in the office.
So there's a floor manager in the lobby of the bank.
Yes.
And I'll have, after I called upstairs to arrange for a conference room with my trusty Mrs. Wilson, who handles everything. I'll tell the floor manager to keep an eye out for, 3 men looking like they're inquiring, and have them escorted up by a junior clerk. And we'll have, I guess, a few minutes before they arrive to
Yes.
size each other up. And I'm on my turf now, weirdo.
I'm just kind of curious to find out why they decided to follow Silas. I hope they had some questions for him that needed answering. Otherwise, it's going to look very strange for them.
If they even found him. But
Perhaps.
yeah, it's kind of a goose chase.
Why do you
what
suppose
if he's got a sick aunt,
Well, why do you suppose he would be going back to this funeral home? Maybe he's paying for the funeral?
Yeah, I think if anything, Silas would be looking for money, not doling some out.
Do you think
Yeah.
maybe he realized some piece of jewelry was taken? The casket was closed, though, so how would he possibly know? Who knows? Hopefully they'll figure it out. So this is a bank, you called it?
Yeah, a substantial financial and fiduciary institution. Loans to small businesses, people's savings from their hard efforts and labor.
Mr. Dexter, I don't know who you think I am. I'm as American as you are. I've kept my money in the bank since I was 14 years old. And
So this should not be an entirely alien environment to you.
Don't be intimidated by what you see. I was a professor at Miskatonic University. I have multiple degrees. I speak multiple languages. I've studied everything that Frederick Long knows about the stars. I know as well. Plus,
Is
I
there
know
something between you and Professor Long?
He has. His view is myopic. He sticks to the science and the numbers. He doesn't believe in anything that goes beyond that, despite the fact that there's thousands of years of human history that has been compiled to show that there may be a correlation between the position of the planets and the stars and the events that take place here on Earth.
I'm kind of a numbers man myself for obvious reasons.
Well, numerology is a very interesting thing. It'd be interesting to do a chart on you and see what number I come up with. 9 is the best number.
Yeah, I think on a ledger, whatever number is biggest is best number. And those are, by definition, to be of any value, they have to be, the same every time. We can't. There's no entry line for dreams or stars. So, do you know a little bit about dreams? Do you know anything about drugs that you take to have dreams?
I don't know how to concoct them, if you will, but I could probably visit a number of Chinese apothecaries that might know how to concoct such a thing. And I believe they really only allow you to remember what you've dreamed. The dreams become more vivid. It sounds like from what the fellow said that Agatha said, that he's been using this for some time and that the priest gave it to him. That seems very interesting. Perhaps there's more to this priest than the Roman Catholics would believe.
Well, Philip was only using that dream journal for a couple of weeks before he died. And there are no indications that Julian was looking at his dreams before that began. So, I'm wondering if maybe Julian didn't start taking some digitalis for his heart, get some loopy ideas, and next thing you know, they're both taking, plant substances. I don't know.
Drugs can be overdosed, and especially things that have to do with your sleep. They can put you to sleep for good.
It's during this conversation that there's a light knock at the door, and the junior clerk clerk opens it and escorts in Cornelius, Zebedee, and Professor Long.
I knew that was going to happen.
So, gentlemen, you find Silas in there.
I have some. I just have a quick fit. Cornelius and Long. They were acting very strange. I'm not the only one who saw that, but I got this very odd feeling with the director there. I couldn't pinpoint it, but I had a very strange feeling. I wish I could remember it, but remember what it was pinching at me, but that was a strange.
Well, I just mentioned, I had mentioned to the proprietor that about that we were associates of Philip Baxter, and we were curious about some points of his funeral and asking if Silas was there. And at that point, they were rather upset by something.
So Silas was there.
He was there, and oddly enough, the proprietor of the funeral home kept looking at Silas before answering anything that we said, like he was taking a cue or something. I don't know. It was all. It's all just very, very strange.
It was they were acting extremely odd. Like Silas was acting odd when Philip's name was mentioned, and it was strange. And that man, I can't put my finger on it, but that director.
Now, we saw them put the coffin in the ground, didn't we?
We did. You were outside in the parking lot.
Oh, yes.
But it was closed. We never saw Philip. And both of them were acting incredibly suspicious. In fact, before Silas appeared there, the manager, Alvin, I believe his name was, of the funeral parlor, was sort of leading us cautiously away from letting us know that he was there. And then Silas appeared. So something seems very fishy. And they did seem to get extremely agitated at Frederick's second line of inquiry.
All right. We have some interesting evidence. We have Philip Baxter's death. We have Philip Baxter taking a drug to help him sleep, confirmed by Angela. We have a dream journal, and we have a suspicious Silas and the director of the funeral home. And as I just pointed out to Mr. Dexter, you can overdose on a drug, correct? Yes?
Yes.
What if the drug put him to sleep in a manner that looked like he had died, but he was faking his own death? Now, I don't know why he would do that, but
maybe he found something out while in his dreams, and
if it was calculated precisely by perhaps a Chinese apothecary, it might be able to even fool the doctor into believing that he had died.
You know, Brother Julian didn't look Chinese to me.
I do have another line of inquiry, which might be Wilson, right? He left suddenly, and he was also given a package. Am I correct?
Yeah, why did he leave the country? It was not just leave the area, but the country so quickly.
He was at the funeral, and he left the country, and he was the only other recipient of one of the same packages as was.
Well, what's his business?
Not a clue.
He's at Brown.
Yes, he's a professor of ancient languages, Oriental languages at Brown. And according to Judge Braddock, he did receive a package of some sort prior to the reading of the will, because Braddock was aware that Wilson had business out of country. And so he went ahead and gave him that package not long, in fact, immediately after the funeral. In the car, Wilson received his package while he went en route to the airport. Something I do want to kind of clear up. because I'm not 100% sure if Myron has as a player put this together or not. But Myron, when we started this whole ordeal, you had a vision at midnight of May 2nd, the midnight morning of May 2nd. But according to everyone who's been talking, family members, anybody that you've talked to, they all say that Philip died on Sunday, like early, possibly died in his sleep from Saturday night into Sunday. But your vision of a agonizing and dying and fighting for his life type of specter of Philip Baxter would have been 1 day difference. So there's a discrepancy between when other people are saying that he died and the vision that you encountered.
Yeah, I mean, when I found out that he was already declared deceased when he woke me up, I was pretty confused.
Okay.
Either, what I saw die was his ghost that was around a day later, or, as I feared, between the physician and the housekeeper and the sole remaining child in the house, I'm not sure everybody's telling the truth.
So Myron, now you've explained your dream, your vision to us, or have you not?
I have not. Let's retcon that though.
Yeah, because I guess I assumed that he had already done that as a brief, say, I tell him about my dream, even though you guys were all there when I described it. So
no, let's say, you guys come in a flurry about Silas, and when there's a lull, I say that regarding this whole dream thing, that strange that we're all here because of the professor's dream, but the reason I was already talking to his brother Julian about dreams is because I had what you could call a night vision myself. Late Sunday night, early Sunday morning, I was wakened by a sound in my bedroom, and I saw a figure that I realized was Philip, although he was unclear and phosphorescent, greenish in color. And this figure that I recognized as Philip Baxter tried to reach out to me, and something that I couldn't see attacked this figure and seemed to kill it by destroying its head. Right?
My God.
It was a crazy vision. And of course I thought perhaps I woke from a dream, but when I was first interrupted, I tried to turn my lamp on and the bulb burst. And when I turned the lights on, the bulb was still burst. And I looked at the foot of the bed for some sign of any indication that somebody had set something up to confuse me, and there was nothing. And I felt then and feel now certain that I was awake and saw what I can only say was Philip Baxter's ghost. But that was the day after he died, at least.
This is amazing. The Tuesday Night Academy has done some related investigations into various stories on people's perceptions of loved ones or people who were close that have recently passed away, and maybe visions that they might have had.
It's okay, Doc. It's okay, Cornelius. You can say the word ghost.
It may be, but scientifically speaking, there's no proof of that yet. But we are very intrigued at studying such things. I have a suspicion that whatever is in that casket is either not Philip, or if it is Philip, it would be interesting to see if that had any sort of indication of what you said happened to him in your dream. Something's very suspicious going on here.
Yes, but I also find it very odd that the professor of Oriental languages is involved in this when
Uh,
Zeno was on about Chinese apothecaries.
Look, if is it Hiram was the professor of Oriental languages?
Oh no.
Is that Francis Wilson?
Francis Wilson.
Yeah.
If Wilson had business in a foreign country, he made his plans to go to the foreign country weeks and weeks in advance, before Philip even died. So he couldn't just change his plans, because Philip died. I think it seems very reasonable that the lawyer gave him whatever Philip wanted that before he got on his airplane.
Oh, I'm glad that you finally started applying logic to some things. I agree with you. I would agree
Dr.
with
Long,
you.
are you here? I didn't realize that.
No, but
Now, one thing that I find interesting. Okay, Mr. Dexter, I'm not at this point in my experience prepared to accept the reality of ghosts, but I find it fascinating that Baxter felt so compelled and so worried to notify us of this will, and it was important to him, and it's not the people that were in his house or that would possibly lied about his cause of death. He gave it to us, so an external party to look into. So perhaps he himself was mistrustful, and I do find it, Silas in the study now seems, I didn't think much of it at the time, but his behavior and now his continued correspondence with the funeral director, I don't know. This is all so very strange.
Yeah, I have to say, I thought you guys were barking up a wrong tree about the body until I realized that if it didn't not just look obviously not like a heart attack or maybe a poisoning, but if he had pieces of his head removed.
It would be quite a ghastly sight for an open casket. There would be definitely cause there.
And very hard not to have a complicated inquiry into exactly what happened.
If it is a grotesque injury to the head, then why the cover-up? Especially amongst friends and family, there's something very suspicious going on here.
I think in trying to understand Myron's dream, or his vision rather, it might not have actually represented Philip's body, but his mind. And if parts of his mind were destroyed, that might have appeared as something tearing him apart. His body may be completely intact. Could be a stroke, could be something like that that's destroying the man's mind. Somehow he was projecting to you, or something of him was.
maybe
Perhaps he was in the dream,
yes.
like in his
Yeah.
map.
Maybe his travels into night vision continued after he died in his sleep. He was reaching out toward me. That was perhaps the worst part, that he was trying to speak or scream, and I could hear nothing. And he was reaching out.
He's made it clear with the package that he wants you to try and solve what's going on.
And it's none of the people that seem to be suspiciously involved here. It wasn't to Silas. It wasn't to the doctor who supposedly gave him an autopsy or going over, the person administering drugs. It seems like all of the people that might have been most closely involved in what seems to be some sort of odd cover-up, he did not entrust.
I would like everyone in the assembled room to make a spot hidden roll, please.
Yeah.
Well, I would like to just say I want to check in on that funeral director again.
I am
And
too
Ooh.
self-absorbed to notice anything.
Besides
15
Cornelius,
is-
was anyone else successful?
I got a hard success with the 15.
Okay, Zebedee.
Nope.
So I'm picturing this room that you guys are in as upstairs. I heard that it was upstairs, and I picture that it is streetward facing with a large window, and y'all's conversations are kind of animated. People are standing and walking around the room, and thinking and walking at the same time to kind of get that blood going, get the thoughts going. And so during this kind of conversational dance where people are walking around and talking with their hands, right, and expressing their thoughts and ideas, both Professor Long and Cornelius were close enough to the window and looked out at the right time, and you can see Silas Patterson walking down the street, both hands plunged deep into his pockets, shoulders hunched a bit, head down, and striding with purpose back in the direction of the law office where you guys were earlier today.
Oh, there goes Silas again.
That's right in the direction of where we came from, the reading of the will.
Yeah. Wait, we could take this opportunity then. He's not there. I would definitely like to speak to that director again, the manager.
Oh, I'm not sure that would go over too well.
On what pretense?
Well, it sounds weird, but I reckon you would understand, Zeno, that I had a strange feeling when I saw him.
Yes, but you can't just walk up and accuse somebody of something without,
I can't
because you have a strange feeling.
No, we can make up a story like Cornelius. We can come up with some reason. Or maybe you and Myron can go in.
Well, it's Cornelius' story that gives me pause to going back there. Sorry, Cornelius. That was a little bit jarring even for me. That might have.
You're making up stories, Professor?
I wanted, as they seemed to be giving us the runaround, I wanted to see their expressions when I simply mentioned that I found an anonymous note indicating that there was suspicion that Philip Baxter was not in the coffin. It's not a direct accusation. I shrouded it with discovered an anonymous note, which rose a question.
And they clearly bought it.
It certainly made them very upset and very on edge. Like it skyrocketed them through.
Well, they were on edge because I asked about the closed casketed nature of the funeral. And that would end that.
Consider also, Cornelius, that if I had just recently lost a friend, and some strange man walked up to me and said that he had an anonymous note saying that the body wasn't in the coffin, I would have quite a strong reaction to that.
Being interested in finding out the truth, not trying to cover it up.
Which would also mean that I would call the police and I would have the police question you and find out where the note came from. And there is no note.
Don't use any banknote paper to make that note up.
It's a dangerous game.
Well,
for you, not for them.
Yeah, something's being covered up here. And
do any of you? I'm sorry, Professor Cuthbert. You know this Silas guy from your Tuesday night club, right?
Yes, he hasn't been around for ages, and in fact,
you usually get along.
Keeper?
Yes, you were aware that Silas and Philip Baxter were very close.
In any case, something is going on. I don't think that we have enough information to know what's going on.
Do any of you people happen to be to know somebody who's like a private deck or somebody who can make inquiries that isn't one of us?
Private investigator.
Yeah, I mean, I could have a bank person work on it, but then I'd have to explain why. I want to know what happened to Emmett's business partner. If I had a company called E&E and one of the E's left, I wouldn't just cross his name out and give the same card that said E&E. Like Eddie O'Connell or O'Donnell, I've got it somewhere. But,
Hey, those things are expensive to print, man.
Yeah. It's not exactly forward business thinking.
I know a reporter, but I doubt he'd be available. So
That's actually a very good point. Anybody
I didn't like the Emmett kid
anybody
and
in
his attitude.
business. Anybody in business who has a business card, they wouldn't give out a business card.
I know a private investigator, but he's also my backup character to break the fourth wall for a second. So I'm not sure how that.
I would be fine if you wanted to run both of them. Kind of bring him in for something on the side, and then have him fade back again. Whatever you want to do.
We've played double characters before.
Swapping hats.
if that was the case, my journalist might.
Or, John could play him as an NPC. And he is nicely tied in.
Yeah, I actually do know somebody, a childhood friend of mine who lives here in Providence. I'll reach out to him.
Yeah, I would like it to be somebody that somebody had a personal feeling for. Because honestly, we're going to sound a little bit mentally unstable to a stranger. So our job is to figure out what to do with a map of a fairyland in a dream, or at least find out why poor Philip was having dreams of fairyland before he died suddenly and under somewhat suspicious circumstances. Not to mention haunting me.
Question for the keeper.
Yes.
From my past history, or any of us in the Tuesday Night Academy, was the Tuesday Night Academy investigates strange, peculiar mysteries, oddities, and tries to relate them to science. Was Philip working on anything or building a case or starting some sort of investigation that had any ties with Silas that we know of?
Not that you know of. The Tuesday Night Academy, for sake of allowing the players to discover things throughout the course of the game, while you and Professor Long are members of the Tuesday Night Academy, of late you haven't had. You've been kind of busy, and so your relationship with them has been kind of on the side. You've been meaning to kind of get back into more meetings, but just work has been really kind of heavy on you. So that the Academy is still always interested in promoting the sciences, the variety, the bandwidth, the spectrum of sciences, promoting that publicly. And things of the unusual nature, weird rumors, maybe hauntings and that kind of thing. It's almost like the Tuesday Night Academy assists in doing like debunkings, right? So there's always a scientific explanation for everything. You're to your small shame, you're not 100% up to speed on the current business of Tuesday Night Academy. So I'll leave it at that for now.
Now about Silas, Cornelius. Okay, from our conversation in the study, he was definitely interested in positions with other universities. And he said he was working on a book. And if I recall correctly, he's a professor of folklore?
Anthropology.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm curious what he says he's been working on a book, but he's not been around the university. I'm curious what he's working on.
He might be. I mean, if we want to take a more understanding position of where Silas is coming from, maybe he was in the study searching for a book that might have helped him in his studies, in his research, perhaps.
So,
perhaps.
I'm sorry if I can interject. This has been very enlightening. You, as a team, have uncovered many questions that span. It feels like the breadth of Providence. There's so many questions, unanswered questions. So I pose to you, what do you want to do about trying to find some answers to any of these questions?
I believe Dex, Myron, you made an excellent point that we should probably get with Father Julian before he's dead. He does not seem long for this earth. So
yeah, I've got his card, and he's agreed to talk to me about dreams. And now I've got this book, so I'll make an appointment, as soon as he's available, with his giant man-child servant.
Also, does Angela own the house now?
Yeah, according to the will, yes.
I wonder if we can get into the study again and take a look around and see if there's what Silas might have been looking for.
I'm also going to ask Julian when the decision was made to have a closed casket and buy a home.
Yeah. I mean, if Silas was indeed just snooping around in the study just to look for a book that might assist him in his studies, he would have mentioned that. It doesn't seem like that's something he would try to hide.
Seemed something odd that he would do that on the day of the funeral.
Maybe
he wanted to steal something. That's more likely, don't you think?
Maybe we could split up and go into our inquiries.
And Baxter was an anthropologist too, wasn't he?
Correct.
Yes.
Huh. So Silas is at odds with the university. He's working on research. And now he's snooping around the study of a deceased anthropology department member after his death. Honestly, and I'm just speculating, but there is a connect. I mean, their fields of study and their and their relationship. I am just curious if they have done any joint research together, or if there was a problem there between the two of them.
Again, another area I'd like to explore is I really do want to look into the funeral manager, but that can be something at a later date. Maybe I can contact a friend of mine who can see if there's anything that popped up in like the newspapers or anything.
Do it from around about the backside. Who is this guy? Where has he worked before?
Yes, I have a friend who works, he's a journalist, so I will contact him and see if he can do that for me. And maybe on Silas as well, I'd like to. He's been a bit AWOL, and I think, Cuthbert, you mentioned that he's looking for a new job, maybe. I don't know, maybe that could be something.
We might as well look into the Black Sheep Sun, too.
Colin?
Yeah.
Yes.
Just to make sure we know what state he's in and, if he's got gainful employment.
He thought he was going to inherit more than he got, huh?
Emmett sure as heck did.
That kind of rules him out as a murderer.
Doesn't rule Colin out, though.
Colin he's not even in the state, is he?
No.
I just want to make sure he's wherever he's supposed to be. I think they had no current address for him.
Yes, but you can still cause someone's death even if you are not in the same.
Right, but you have to have a motive, usually. There's a motive.
Yes, true.
And if you think you're going to get $1 million, you have a motive. But if you don't know what you're going to get, there's not much of a motive. The Angela has the most motive.
Emmett's pretty pissed off about what he didn't get.
Right.
How many people are in your Tuesday night club?
Why, it's around Keeper.
100 or so, hard to tell.
100 or so, it's hard.
And not all members are active. You know, some get it and then maybe they move or get assigned to a different place, or so as far as maybe active members who come to meetings and stuff, it's probably around a solid dozen. But so
yeah, so there's some are like myself. We're not local, and so we make it when we can, but that's few and far between.
Right.
Do you have a board or something? Who's going to decide who's the boss who gets to spend Professor Baxter's largesse?
I would assume it would be Silas, since he was the one at the representative at the will reading. But I'm fairly new. I'm not sure of all the internal politics.
You would know that there is a board, and they'll meet, and they have a treasurer, and they have different officers, and so any expenditures that are made, anything that they receive from Philip will go into a treasury, and then they'll as a democratic body decide on how to spend it.
Okay.
Let's call the priest and make an appointment.
Yeah,
Yes, I will call my friend Mr. Lake, and he can to get on to research for us, external research on a couple of names.
You know that fellow with the clipping service might be able to give you a little bit of a hand on some of that.
Well, I don't think we want to involve Emmett into anything we're doing.
No, that's why
I guess not.
That's why I'm going to call Mr. Lake. I actually think Mr. Lake knows your PI friend, Mr. Lake.
Oh, Mr. Bennings?
Yes.
Hank Bennings? Well, I suppose it couldn't hurt. I'll contact Bennings. I guess we are all having people to contact set up things, but I'll have Bennings tail Silas.
Yeah, I mean, we have 2 phones in here, and we can put through any calls we need to. If you'll excuse me, I'll get on the phone to Father Julian.
Yes, I wouldn't be surprised if Lake and Bennings end up using each other as sources for this job. So.
I like your idea, Dr. Saladin, of seeing if we can check the study. Go to Angela and kindly ask if we could.
Yeah, she seemed very nice.
It's something I would definitely want to do, check that study.
She did seem, reasonably so, close with Emmett. Of course, she raised him.
Just tell her that what we received leads us to believe that there might be a number of items of value that we'd like to take a look at. We don't want to take them.
Yes.
We might take them.
Yeah.
But we'd like to take a look for them.
When you spoke to them at the car, did the housekeeper not ask you anything about what we got that they kept us back for?
No, she didn't, actually.
Oh.
I think she's still a bit in shock about getting the entire estate. But when I asked her about the drugs, she looked contemplative for a moment, and then she said, yes, there was the bottle. So doesn't seem to be hiding anything.
Did you ask her to keep that bottle handy so it could be examined?
I didn't. I doubt that it's even there anymore. But
if she throws out that bottle, then it's gonna be troubling.
Well, let me give her a call. I don't know if I have her number.
Okay. So first I'll go to Myron and his phone call to reach Father Julian. So the number that you have for him is to a Catholic home. It's almost like a almost like a retiree kind of home that they manage.
Yeah.
And a woman answers the phone and addresses herself as Sister Mary, and she says, "How may I help you?"
Good afternoon. This is Myron Dexter. Father Julian and I met at his brother's funeral and agreed to have a private consultation as soon as he's available. Can you put me through to him or his assistant?
I can help you. His assistant, his personal assistant, is mute and would not be able to assist you. So I can help you in any way that I can. I do know that the father has as much time as he desires. He is officially retired, and he is usually here and awake and does prayer and contemplative reading. Yeah, he's usually quite available.
Oh, so I might be able to see him this afternoon.
Absolutely. I don't see a reason why not.
Very good. And this address on the card is current?
It is. It is.
Very well. If you should see him or anyone who normally speaks to him, ask him to expect me in, say, half an hour.
That sounds wonderful.
One moment, sister.
Yeah,
Oh yes, I'll be bringing along an associate. He's met the father already.
Oh, that sounds very good. Very good. Have a blessed day.
You as well.
All right.
Thank you.
Any other phone calls to NPCs?
Yeah, I will call. I will call Bennings.
Okay. You can do that in your own head, or you can just kind of play it out here.
I have. Let me talk to myself for about 20 minutes.
You have psychic abilities? No.
Yeah, I'll call Lake as well. Right.
Okay, so you guys have
Lake
reached
and
out.
Benning would
Yeah,
probably
so
be
just
anyway.
want Bennings to keep an eye on Silas.
I'd
Okay.
like to know if there's a way we can get a hold of Angela, but does
Well, I
anybody
mean,
have...
we'll have anybody at Brown will have access to his, phone number and address. School directory, also private ties.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I want Lake to look into the funeral manager, get me some background on him a bit more, and to find out maybe if he can find out what Silas has been up to, but that might be something that he corresponds with Bennings, and they work
Okay.
together to do that.
So who's your contact? Who's your character?
Samson Lake, he is my
Lake.
secretary.
Okay.
He's my backup.
So if you engage Lake now and ask him to do research, who is it that you want him to do research on? He can do on one now, and I'll say that it's I mean the will reading was in the morning. You guys have been burning maybe another couple of hours, so it's only midday now. So if you wanted Lake to engage and do any kind of research, it would take the better part of this day, depending upon the type of research that he does, and you may have some information by end of day with Lake, but it won't be a ton yet. I mean, since it is on very short notice and he's going to be kind of scrambling. But who is it that you would like Lake to?
I'm more intrigued, even though, because Bennings would probably do, so I would say the funeral manager.
Okay.
Alvin, yeah.
Okay. So while Lake is doing that, it sounds like Dr. Saladin and Mr. Dexter are going to pay a visit to Father Julian. Lake off camera is going to be doing other research. So what is it that and then Long, what did you want Bennings to be doing?
Keep tabs on Silas.
Okay.
Almost like tailing him.
Okay.
To a certain extent, so see if he's if he spends all of his time at his house, at his home, if he's making frequent trips back to the funeral parlor, or he's constantly going to the law office. Just what is he? just over the next day or so. You
Okay.
know, just very, very, very light observation.
Okay, so that will also be a in the background kind of thing.
Yeah.
So with those two characters doing things in the background, what is Cornelius, Zebedee, and Long doing today?
We could look into going to the house to study.
Yes,
while
I would
there.
like to take a look at the study to see if we can like. Because
Very
we got a book, and we're just curious if there's any other materials that are related to it, his dreams or things that he was looking into for dreaming in his study. So we have pretty good
Okay.
reason.
If we do that, we do need to. We should ring ahead first.
Oh, certainly. And we have good reason, since Philip himself bequeathed upon us these 3 items, which all point us in this direction. So,
Yes.
Okay.
And don't forget, you want to get a hold of her little brown bottle if it's at all possible. I'd love to see that analyzed. For the time being, I'm going to keep these materials in the envelope we got them with me, but I can have let's see, I can have them photostatically reproduced here at the bank, but I would probably I'll need to make arrangements about that, because I don't want anyone to see anything that they shouldn't. But by tomorrow, I should be able to provide you all with reasonable facsimiles.
Excellent.
Okay. So why don't we bring the camera in with Dr. Saladin and Mr. Dexter as you guys have your appointment with Father Julian Baxter.
I think that's something I should take my personal vehicle for, rather than have a driver.
All right.
I've got a moderately nice looking hard top, I should think.
Okay. So you guys pull up in front of this building, and it says the Holy Rosary retirement home. And as you go inside, you are greeted. You see several nuns in full habit gear walking around. You see a few older gentlemen. They look like they are, they are dressed as priests, also kind of walking around. And as you go in through the main front doors, you are greeted by a woman, a nun, and she says, "Welcome. How may I help you?"
Good afternoon. I'm Myron Dexter. I spoke to his sister Mary earlier about visiting Father Julian Baxter.
Oh, yes. And you recognize her voice. Yes, I'm Mary. How may I help you? You want to speak? You have your appointment with Father Baxter.
That's correct. Thank you.
All right. Please follow me this way. And so it's a very nice compound. And so she leads you down a long corridor. There's a bunch of different rooms and stuff. Open areas, and also some doors that you go past. And so she takes you down, and it's like you've gone into like another wing of this building. It's a very large, sprawling ranch style building. And she comes up to a door and knocks on it, and does not wait for a response. And she opens it, and inside, near a window, you see the wheelchair with Father Baxter, and there's like a kitchenette nearby, and you can hear the tinking of a silver spoon stirring tea in a china teacup. And the very large young man, Matthew, is bringing a cup of tea to Father Baxter. And so Sister Mary says, "Father, your guests have arrived." And he kind of looks up and weakly waves one hand and gestures to a seating area for you.
hat in hand, I nod to Sister Mary. My thanks.
And as she leaves, she pulls the door closed.
Thanks. Thank you very much, Father, for seeing us so soon.
Yes. It's so good to see you again.
I hope you're feeling rested.
Thank you. Thank you. I do what I can.
Yes, it's an arduous week. Well, I've already told Dr. Zeno here one of the things that I came to discuss with you, which I believe is not a dream, but is dream-like. And I describe the visitation. And, that's strange enough that I had this vision at night, even if it was not what we think of as a nightmare. But then your brother left us, Zeno and I, and a few of the others, a copy of his dream journal, the one that you were annotating,
Yes.
and a most peculiar other artifact that I'll show you. His final dream that he notes here, you haven't seen yet, and I'll ask you to read it in a moment if you care to. But he wondered when he wrote it down. He wondered if it wasn't inflected by a drug he was taking. Apparently, you were helping him with some sort of sleeping draft.
So Matthew has given the tea to the father and is kind of standing nearby. And so I'm kind of picturing, there's this large picture window. The father's in his wheelchair next to the window. Dr. Saladin and you are seated on a couch together, opposite of the father. Matthew is a little bit kind of in the background. He does his best to do his impersonation of wallpaper, and at the mention of a drug that the father was giving him, Matthew actually takes a step forward, like one step forward, and his heavy feet do kind of clump on the floor, and so without quickly, Father Baxter raises a weak hand and kind of shakes it a bit, and kind of mumbles. He says, "No, all is well, all is well." And Matthew takes the same step backward, and so then Father Baxter sets his tea down, and he nods, and he's silent for a little bit, and then he says, yes, that is true, and I do fear that that the drug may have contributed to his death. I have great guilt, and I have fear that I may have contributed to my brother's death, and if that is true, I fear for the wrath that I shall face when I meet the Lord and mighty God. I am very sad and fearful for what eternity lies ahead for me. I curse myself for ever introducing him to that draught, and thinking that it could help him with his troubled dreams. You don't know the pain and the guilt that goes with something like that. It is horrifying.
Father, if you'll answer my question, what is the nature of this draft? Something that you concocted, something that you've gotten from someone else?
I learned about it many, many years ago when I was on a missionary in the Congo. And that was when I first began to explore the realms of dreams. I was fascinated by it, captured by it. And alas, I feel I may have been led astray by it. That will be my sin and my cross to bear for eternity.
Well, Father, presume first of all you'll make confessions, and also intentions I think are very important in this regard. You didn't intend your brother any harm. Is this a substance that you've used since you were on mission?
Long ago, when I was strong, I felt that I could use it, and I did. And I explored. In my dreams, I explored. But since my accident, I have not been well enough to do that. But I still know how to brew the draft to help with gain the entry to sleep.
Do you have, is it leaves, or what kind of, what's the base of this medicament?
Yes, it is. It is a rare herb and root, muddled and mixed with other rare ingredients. It's difficult to make, and but it is a quite powerful drug.
Do you have any of it?
I do.
If you would vouchsafe with us a bit of the substance, I can assure you that we're not going to, this is entirely a private matter inside the family and so on. I don't think you should be under any suspicion. It never caused you any physical harm, though, right?
It is not. And then he looks over to Matthew, and he says, "Be a good boy, if you would, and fetch the drug for these young men, please." And Matthew leaves. As he leaves, the father sits there and kind of, looks at the two of you, and he seems to be contemplating something, and he says he starts to nod, and he convinces himself, and he says, I feel that if I am to have salvation, if my Lord Father will forgive me, I must pass on what I have known, what I have, and in hopes that others will be able to use it more wisely than I ever have. And so he kind of, with his one good hand, he reaches down and starts turning his wheelchair. So it begins to pivot. And as it pivots enough, you now notice, because really Matthew was standing in front of it and the wheelchair is partially in front of it, there's a very low, like 3 shelf tall, 3 foot tall shelving unit kind of right behind him, very low. So he pivots his chair, and he leans forward very slowly. It's a very slow and purposeful movement. And he finally gets down there, and his finger, touches onto one book, and he starts to drag it out until he can finally get a good clutch onto it. And then he's able to bring it back up and cradle it into his arms, just as Matthew returns with a small box, and you can hear clinking of glass inside the box. Ding, 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 ding. And he comes back and he sets down, and he sets the box down right next to Dr. Saladin. And it's just an open, just an open lidded box. And so inside the box, Dr. Saladin, you can see that there are 10 little brown bottles. None of them have labels. They all have cork stoppers in them. And so each bottle looks like it's probably just a single dose. Like you pop the cork and you just, shoot her, you just shoot the whole thing, right? So he sets that down, and then he quickly attends to Father Baxter to readjust his chair so that now he's facing you guys, and he steps back, and Father Baxter leans forward, handing this book out to Myron Dexter. The book is quite aged. It's very fragile. It's very old. It has a hard brown cover with a cloth glued fabric to the hard cover. And as you open the book gingerly, inside in a cursive script, you see a title that reads Book of Ibon. And the father says, I give this to you to use as you will. Please, if you are able to discover that anything other than the drug took Philip's life, I would like to know. It weighs on me so, and I feel that guilt will be taking me soon.
Father, is there anything in this book that you have found that might explain the visitation I had that seemed to be Philip in my bedroom?
That is an interesting question that he will ponder.
Don't ponder too long.
The answer to everything is
He thinks about that for a second, and he says, I don't know. It's possible that as Philip was taking his final breath, he may have been escaping his mortal coil into the realm of dreams. I don't know. I'm afraid I do not know.
But there are dangerous things in the realm of dreams.
Very dangerous.
Is it possible to, if you were, what am I? Is it possible to move here while also in the realm of dreams?
I do not know.
Yeah. Well, this might seem a minor matter next to all of this, and I thank you as I thank your brother for entrusting myself and these others with all of this. Was there a reason that he was buried in a closed casket?
Yes. Not long before the funeral began, the funeral director, a Mr. Beswick, came to the family and he apologized. Apparently, a method of preparing the body for burial went awry, and Philip's body became discolored in a way that apparently would have been quite disturbing for the family to see. So we agreed then, sight unseen, that it would be best to have it as a closed casket. But I do wish I could have seen Philip one more time.
I'm sorry to trouble you with this detail. Your brother passed away sometime Saturday night or Sunday morning. I saw him at the end of Sunday night, or some part of him. When did the Beswick fellow tell you that the body was no longer suitable for viewing, if you know?
Less than an hour before the funeral. But Philip, no one had seen Philip's body before then, other than the funeral director.
Yeah, other than staff.
And I believe we will fade to black for this episode and return as Cornelius, Zebedee, and Frederick go to visit the good Angela in what was Philip Baxter's home when next we meet.
Our players included Morgan Llewellyn, Stuart Lively, Josh Harwood, David Gasaway, and myself, with John Hook as the Keeper of the Secrets. We have a Discord server where you can chat with our other members. You can set up private games and learn the finer art of gameplay and game mastering. There's a link below. We're currently producing up to 4 shows a week with music and sound effects added in post-production in order to create a richer listener experience. We provide audio-only versions of our shows free for you to download from Podbean or iTunes. The costs involved with the show are provided almost entirely by our patrons. Without them, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. If you'd like to help support our show, please visit our Patreon account. Just $1 or $2 a month helps us a lot. You can find a link in the description below. Like, share, and subscribe to our channel. And punch the bell icon for updates on our latest shows. And leave us some comments. We enjoy reading them and answering any questions you might have. This is Tom Rayleigh, together with all the members of our gaming club, inviting you to journey with us once again into the darkness for another adventure into the universe of H.P. Lovecraft and the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. Until next time, good luck, good game.